I sit in the airport lounge, my suitcase clutched tightly in my hands. It feels heavier than it should, though perhaps it's not the suitcase that weighs me down but the years themselves. My family, my son Ethan and daughter-in-law Chloe, had told me to wait here while they checked in for their vacation. "It's too much for you to travel, Grandma. We'll go without you." I nodded. Of course, I did. That's what you do when your son speaks to you in that tone, the one reserved for the elderly, the confused, the ones who are in the way. I sat where they told me, beside a potted plant, watching the world move around me. People came and went, their faces lit up with the excitement of the journey ahead. I couldn't help but notice how little my presence mattered to anyone. How invisible I had become. I've spent my life taking care of others, my husband, my children, my grandchildren. But now, I find myself here, waiting, forgotten. I can hear the laughter, the chatter of young travelers all around me. Their energy fills the room, while I sit, alone, gripping the armrest a little too tightly, trying not to let my fingers shake. It's not age that causes the tremor, it's the painful realization that I am no longer important enough to be noticed. Minutes become hours. The time stretches on, and the silence in my heart deepens. I think about how, for most of my life, I was the one who held everything together. I was the rock, the caretaker. But today, in this crowded airport lounge, I am nothing more than an afterthought. It's as though I've been replaced. The world spins on, and I am no longer a part of it. The young travelers, eager for adventure, laughing and sharing stories, remind me of what I've lost, not just my youth, but the feeling of being truly needed. I am still here, but I don't belong in this world anymore. I've become like the furniture in the room, something to be arranged around, but never truly seen. The seconds tick by, and the weight of the realization settles deeper into my bones. They don't need me anymore. My role has been reduced to that of a passenger, waiting, always waiting, for the next thing, the next moment, the next invitation. But it never comes. I pull my coat tighter around me, trying to fend off the cold that isn't from the air conditioning but from something far deeper. The ache in my chest isn't physical, it's an emotional wound, raw and growing with every passing minute. No one looks my way, no one stops to ask if I'm alright, if I need anything. The world moves on, and I remain, forgotten. An empty space in the middle of it all. Hours pass, and I remain in my seat, the world swirling around me as I sit, immobile and unnoticed. At some point, the lounge becomes quieter, the buzz of conversation dying down as more people board their flights. I feel myself shrinking further into the corner of the room, a part of the background, fading with each second. Then, my phone buzzes in my bag, breaking the silence in a sharp jolt. I dig it out, hopeful for some sort of connection. It's from Ethan. "Sorry, Mom, we're running late. Stay there, we'll come get you in a bit." I stare at the message, the words sinking in. My pulse quickens, and for a moment, my breath catches. There it is, the glimmer of hope I've been waiting for. They'll come for me. Maybe this time, things will be different. Maybe this time, they'll acknowledge me, include me, bring me into their fold. I tell myself to hold on to the feeling, to let myself believe that this isn't just another empty promise, another fleeting hope that will evaporate into nothing. They're coming. They're coming, and I won't be left behind. The minutes stretch on, each one feeling longer than the last. My heart beats a little faster now. I imagine how it will feel when they finally arrive, when I can stand up and greet them. We'll all go together, just like we used to, just like we did when the kids were young. When they were small, and they still needed me. When we could laugh and talk for hours about nothing and everything. I picture it so clearly, Ethan's smile, Chloe's soft laugh, the way the kids' eyes light up when they see me. The thought of it fills me with warmth, and I can almost hear the familiar sound of their voices, feel the comfort of being part of something once again. But as time passes, the warm feeling begins to fade, and a sinking sensation creeps in. I glance around, half expecting to see them walking toward me, but they're nowhere in sight. The lounge has emptied, and I'm still alone, waiting. I tell myself to be patient, that they're just running late. But the minutes stretch into hours, and the world around me feels colder. My phone remains silent. I stand up to stretch, trying to ignore the uneasy feeling in the pit of my stomach. My legs are stiff from sitting so long, and I walk around the lounge, pretending to look at the magazines, glancing at the screens showing flight times, anything to distract myself from the gnawing anxiety. But no amount of distraction can make the sinking feeling go away. The thought crosses my mind, maybe they've forgotten me. Maybe this is just a small lie, an empty promise to make me feel better, to ease their guilt. I pushed the thought away, shaking my head. No. They wouldn't forget me. Not after all these years, after all I've done for them. And yet, as I sit back down, the silence in my heart grows louder. The longer I sit, the more I feel like a stranger in my own life. I scroll through my phone again, checking for any updates, any sign that they're still thinking about me. But the screen is empty. Hours pass, the bright lights overhead flickering with the passing of time. I feel like I'm sinking into the floor, becoming part of the background, part of the furniture, part of something no one notices. I send a text to Ethan, a simple message. Are you coming soon? I stare at the screen, waiting for the reply. The seconds crawl by. No response. A part of me wants to call them, to demand an explanation, but I know better than to cause a scene. I'm just a burden to them now, just someone to be put aside when it's inconvenient. So I wait. And then, just as I'm beginning to give in to the crushing weight of isolation, I get another message from Ethan. This one is short, practical, and filled with nothing more than an explanation. Sorry, Mom. We missed the flight. We'll catch the next one. I stare at the message, and something inside me snaps. They missed the flight. Without me. I read the words again, but they don't change. Ethan's text feels like a slap to the face. I blink, the tears welling up before I can stop them. I'm not sure why I'm crying. It's not that I didn't know this was coming, but the confirmation stings in a way I didn't expect. They didn't even bother to come back for me. I close my eyes, trying to hold the pieces of myself together, but it's hard. Everything inside me feels fractured, broken. I feel foolish for having believed in the promise of being included, for imagining that they'd come back and take me with them. I've been left behind, and it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an accident. They've chosen to go without me. For a few minutes, I sit there in silence, not knowing what to do or how to feel. It's not the first time this has happened, but something about today makes it feel different. It feels like the last straw. I stand up, not caring that my knees feel weak, and make my way toward the bathroom. I need a moment to myself, to breathe, to pull myself together. I lock myself in a stall, sit down, and let the tears come. I can't remember the last time I allowed myself to cry like this. Maybe it's the exhaustion, the weight of it all finally breaking through. Or maybe it's the final realization that I am truly alone. I don't know how long I stay there, just sitting in the quiet. When I finally leave the bathroom, it's with a new understanding. They don't care. They've made it clear. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't an accident. They've chosen this. And so have I. The airport grows quieter with each passing hour, the usual bustle of activity starting to fade as the last of the flights depart. I remain here, like a forgotten piece of luggage, still parked in the same uncomfortable seat in the lounge. It's the strangest feeling, sitting in this void of silence while the world moves on around me. The occasional flight announcement, the clicking of high heels on the floor as travelers rush by, the soft murmur of conversations, these sounds are the only things filling the space around me. But there's nothing for me here. No one is looking for me. No one has come to claim me. I glance at my phone again. Still nothing. I've reread Ethan's message several times, hoping that somehow it will change, that there will be another message waiting for me, maybe an apology, an explanation, a heartfelt plea to come back. But no. The phone screen remains cold and silent. I pull my coat tighter around my shoulders and look around the room. I see a couple of people, some tired, some eager, their eyes filled with the hope and excitement that travel brings. I want to feel that way again, hopeful, excited for something. But I can't. The emptiness inside me is too overwhelming. There's a part of me that knows this moment, this stillness, this isolation, is a turning point. But I don't know where to turn. The minutes stretch on endlessly. I keep watching the door, the space where I expected them to walk through, where I imagined Ethan and Chloe would appear with apologetic smiles, maybe with the kids running toward me, ready to get started on our family vacation. But no one comes. No one even looks my way. It's like I'm invisible. I check my watch. It's almost 9 p.m. The airport is practically empty now, with only a handful of people scattered across the lounge. The hum of the lights above me fills the silence, as if trying to offer some sort of comfort, but it's only making things worse. I'm still here, still waiting, and no one has come. I glance at the clock again, feeling that tightening in my chest. A sinking feeling grows inside me, heavier than it was before. There's something raw about this moment, something I wasn't prepared for. Something I thought I had accepted but now realize I hadn't. I pull my phone out one last time. Maybe I've missed something. Maybe there's another message, a call. But no. There's still nothing. I've been left behind. They've boarded their flight without me, and it wasn't an accident. It wasn't some random oversight. They made a choice to leave me behind. The realization hits harder than I expected. A lump forms in my throat, and I swallow hard, trying to push back the tears. I feel stupid. Stupid for even thinking they'd care. Stupid for hoping that after all these years, after everything I've done for them, they would include me in something that was supposed to be for us all. But they didn't. They didn't even give me a second thought. It's not the first time this has happened, but for some reason, tonight feels different. Tonight feels like the culmination of every little moment where I've been pushed aside, every little detail I've ignored, convinced myself didn't matter. But now I see it. I see it all. The little dismissals, the slight disregard. This is no accident. This is the result of years of being taken for granted, of being seen only as something to be depended on but never truly valued. I don't know how long I sit there, staring at my phone, willing it to ring, willing someone to remember that I'm here. But it doesn't happen. The tears, quiet at first, begin to fall. I try to stop them, but they come anyway, slow and steady, soaking into the sleeve of my coat. I hate crying. It's the last thing I want to do in a public place, especially here, in this sterile, impersonal space, surrounded by people who will never know the pain I'm feeling. But I can't stop. I've been left alone, and this time, there's no one coming to fix it. No one will sweep in and tell me that everything is okay, that I've just been mistaken. I sit there, my body heavy with the weight of this realization, and I feel like I'm disappearing. The world is passing me by, and I'm not a part of it anymore. I'm just an old woman sitting alone in an airport lounge, forgotten by the very people who should love me the most. My son, my daughter-in-law, they've moved on. They've left me behind, and there's nothing I can do about it. After what feels like hours, I stand up, my legs stiff from sitting for so long. I glance around the room, my eyes searching, hoping for some sign that I haven't been entirely forgotten. But there's nothing. The lounge is quiet now, and I'm still here, still waiting, still alone. I gather my things, my coat, my purse, my suitcase, and walk toward the exit. I don't look back. There's no point in staying here, waiting for someone who isn't coming. The air outside is cold, and it hits me like a slap in the face, but I welcome it. I need something to wake me up, something to shake me out of the haze of disappointment and sadness that settled over me. I stand on the sidewalk, looking around at the cars passing by, the taxis pulling up to the curb. I could take a cab. I could go home. But the thought of going back to that empty house, where no one is waiting for me, feels worse than staying here. I don't know where to go, but I can't go back there. I don't belong there anymore. I take a deep breath, my hands trembling slightly as I look around the street. The lights of the city are distant, a blur of bright colors and movement. I don't know what I'm searching for. Maybe just something to make me feel alive again. Something to make me feel like I matter. I start walking, my footsteps slow at first, but then picking up pace as I move further into the night. I don't know where I'm going, but I don't care. I'm done waiting for them to remember me. I'm done being invisible. The sound of my shoes on the pavement is the only thing I can hear now. It's a simple rhythm, a steady beat that keeps me moving forward, even when I feel like stopping. I keep walking, not looking back, not caring about the past. It's time to focus on me, to focus on what comes next. I pass a small cafe, its windows glowing warmly in the night, and for a brief moment, I think about stepping inside, getting something warm, maybe sitting down and pretending like everything is okay. But I don't. I keep walking. I don't need a temporary fix. I don't need to pretend anymore. What I need is to stop waiting. The night air grows colder as I walk down the empty streets, each step echoing in the quiet city. I don't know how long I've been walking, but I feel like I've moved far from the place I started. The concrete beneath my shoes feels like a new path, one I've never walked before, and I can't help but wonder where it will take me. The cold air fills my lungs, sharp and alive, a stark contrast to the suffocating silence I've felt inside for so long. With every step, the city becomes more of a blur. The lights of the street seem distant, almost out of reach. It's like I'm walking in a dream, or a memory, somewhere between the world I used to know and the world I'm creating for myself. I can feel the weight of everything I've left behind, but it's not as heavy as it was before. There's something liberating about this new solitude, this sense of freedom that I haven't felt in years. I keep walking, not caring about where I'm headed. It's strange, this feeling of not needing a destination, of not needing to know what comes next. For so long, I've lived my life for others. I've made decisions based on what they needed, what they expected, what they wanted from me. I've given everything, and in return, I've found myself in the empty airport lounge, forgotten, left behind. But now, for the first time, I'm choosing for myself. The more I walk, the more I think about everything that has led me here. My life, my choices, my role in the world. I realize how much of it I've spent waiting, waiting for my children, waiting for approval, waiting for someone to tell me it's time to live. But tonight, for the first time in decades, I'm not waiting for anyone. I'm not waiting for a phone call or a visit. I'm not waiting to be remembered. I'm walking, and for once, I'm walking towards something I've always wanted but never allowed myself to reach for: freedom. I think about Paul, my late husband. I think about how we spent years building our life together, raising our children, working hard to create something stable, something lasting. But in the years after he passed, I took on a new role, the role of caretaker, of the one who holds everything together. I never gave myself a chance to breathe, to mourn. I just kept going, day after day, making sure everyone else was okay. And now, looking back, I realize I never allowed myself to be the one who needed care. I've been so busy making sure everyone else was taken care of that I forgot about myself. The truth is, I don't remember the last time I lived for myself. I don't remember the last time I made a decision that wasn't influenced by someone else's needs or desires. When was the last time I asked myself what I wanted? When was the last time I allowed myself to dream? The realization hits me hard, and for a moment, I stop walking, the weight of it settling in my chest. I've spent my entire life living for everyone but me, and now, I'm left with nothing. Or so I thought. I pause at the corner of a street, my breath visible in the cold night air. I look up at the sky, the dark expanse above me filled with stars. It's strange, this feeling of being small, yet feeling more alive than I've felt in years. For so long, I've been waiting for someone to tell me it's time to live again. But no one is coming. No one is going to tell me when it's time. I have to tell myself. And that realization, in that moment, changes everything. I think about my children, Ethan and Chloe, and I realize that I've been living in their shadow for too long. They have their lives, their families, their priorities. And I've let myself fade into the background, convinced that I was needed, convinced that I was important. But the truth is, I've become an afterthought. I've been forgotten. And now, for the first time, I'm not going to wait for them to remember me. I'm going to remember myself. I start walking again, my steps more purposeful now. The cold air is no longer something to be endured but something to embrace. I'm not running from anything. I'm not running away from the pain or the disappointment. I'm walking towards something. Something that has nothing to do with anyone else. It's my life, and for the first time, I'm going to take it. I reach the corner of a block and stop in front of a small hotel. The sign is simple, unassuming, but it feels like a beacon to me in this moment. I've never been the kind of person to book a room by myself. I've never done something so spontaneous, so selfish. But tonight, it feels right. I don't need to justify it to anyone. I don't need anyone's approval. This is my choice, and I'm making it for me. I walk into the hotel, the warmth of the lobby enveloping me as the door closes behind me. The man at the front desk glances up, and I feel his eyes on me, but it's not the usual scrutiny I've become so used to. There's no judgment in his gaze, no expectations. It's just a simple recognition of my presence. And in that moment, it feels like the most comfortable thing in the world. I'd like a room for the night, I say, my voice steady, even though my heart is pounding. I'm doing something for myself, something I've never done before. And it feels empowering. The man nods and checks his computer. We have a single room available, ma'am. It's $80 for the night. I hand him my credit card without a second thought. I'm not worried about the money. I'm not worried about anything right now. For the first time in a long time, I'm not calculating how my actions will affect anyone else. I'm just living for me. He hands me the key, and I take it, my fingers trembling just slightly. This is it. This is my moment. I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not living in the shadow of anyone else's life. I'm choosing my own path, and it feels incredible. The elevator ride up to my room is quiet, almost too quiet, and I find myself breathing a little deeper as I try to settle my nerves. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. But I know that this is a small step, toward reclaiming my own life. I enter the room, and the simplicity of it surprises me. It's small, nothing fancy. But it's mine. It's a space where I don't have to pretend. It's a space where I don't have to be anyone but myself. I sit on the bed, the weight of the day starting to sink in, and I finally allow myself to take a breath. This is what freedom feels like. This is what it feels like to take control of your own life. I look around the room and realize that for the first time in years, I'm not waiting for someone else to define me. I'm not waiting for someone to tell me what I should do, where I should go. I'm here because I made the choice. And that choice, in this moment, is everything. The morning after my decision to take control of my life arrives with a cool, soft light filtering through the curtains. I can hear the gentle hum of the city outside the window, distant cars, the occasional pedestrian's footsteps, and the sound of birds waking up for the day. It's a strange kind of peace, one I haven't felt in years. For the first time in what feels like forever, I am alone, but not in the way I've been before. I'm not alone because I've been abandoned. I'm alone because this is my time, my moment to figure things out, to live on my terms. I sit up in bed, the sheets soft against my skin, and I stretch, taking in a deep breath. The air smells different here. It's not the smell of my old house, not the scent of the coffee brewing in the kitchen every morning. This air feels new, unfamiliar. And with it comes a wave of excitement, a sense of possibility I haven't allowed myself to feel in years. I stand and walk over to the window. The streets below are already busy, people heading off to work, walking dogs, sipping coffee as they go about their day. For a moment, I envy their confidence, the way they seem so sure of where they're going. But then I realize that I can be just like them. I can walk with purpose. I can make my own way, step by step, until I find the direction I want to go. It's not about waiting for someone to tell me what to do anymore. It's about trusting myself. I pull on my shoes, take a moment to adjust my hair, and head out the door. The world feels a little brighter today. I've made a decision, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm heading in the right direction. I'm not just going through the motions. I'm living. The walk to the leasing office is short. I pass small shops, street vendors, and cafes with tables set up outside. People are laughing, talking, moving. The energy is alive, vibrant, and I find myself feeling like I belong here, in this busy, bustling part of the city. I'm part of something larger now, not in the way I used to be, but in a way that feels true to who I am. When I arrive at the leasing office, the woman behind the counter greets me with a warm smile. Her eyes seem to soften when I mention the apartment I saw online. She looks up from her computer and nods. "Ready to sign?" she asks, her voice friendly. I nod, feeling a quiet thrill run through me. "Yes, I am." She hands me the lease agreement, and I sit down at the desk. The pen feels foreign in my hand as I sign my name at the bottom of the contract. This is it. This is my new beginning. There's no turning back now, and I don't want to. Once the paperwork is finished, she hands me the keys. They're small, simple, but they feel heavy in my hand, not because of their weight, but because of what they represent. This is the key to my future. This is the first piece of my new life. I walk out of the leasing office, the keys jingling in my hand, and I feel a sense of pride in every step I take. For the first time in a long time, I'm doing something for me. I'm not waiting for anyone to catch up. I'm not waiting for permission. I'm moving forward, and nothing feels better than this. When I arrive at my new apartment, the door feels different. There's a weight to it that I've never felt before. This is my space, my sanctuary. I unlock the door and step inside, my shoes tapping softly against the hardwood floors. The apartment is small, but it's perfect. It's clean, simple, and bright. I can already picture myself here, settling in, making it mine. I walk through the rooms, touching the walls, the furniture, imagining where things will go. The living room will be cozy, with a couch facing the window. I'll fill the shelves with books, things that reflect my own tastes and experiences. The kitchen will be a place for me to experiment with cooking, a space where I can nourish myself both physically and mentally. And the bedroom will be a quiet retreat, a place where I can rest, recharge, and remember who I am when I close my eyes at the end of each day. But before I get too carried away, I sit down on the floor and close my eyes for a moment, taking it all in. The silence is different here. It's not the emptiness I felt when I was at home, alone, waiting for someone to remember me. This silence is peaceful. It's a quiet that comes with knowing that I've made the right decision. I've carved out a space for myself, one that no one can take away. For the next few days, I spend my time unpacking, settling in, and making the apartment truly mine. I buy a few pieces of furniture, things I've always wanted but never had the chance to choose before. I pick out a few plants to add some life to the space. I buy fresh flowers every week, something to remind myself that I am worth caring for. The days pass quickly, and as the weeks go by, I start to feel more at home. I begin to explore the city more, taking walks to the park, visiting local cafes, and slowly but surely, making new connections. I start to feel the pulse of the city, the energy that comes with living in a place where people are always moving, always striving for something. And I'm no longer just an observer. I'm part of it now. I even get a part-time job at a cafe down the street. It's nothing glamorous, but it feels right. I enjoy the work, the interactions with people, the simple satisfaction of earning my own money again. It's not just about the paycheck. It's about proving to myself that I can still contribute, that I can still make my way in the world without relying on anyone else. One evening, as I'm walking home from the cafe, I pass a small bookstore. I step inside, drawn by the smell of old books and the quiet atmosphere. I spend hours browsing, picking out a novel I've always wanted to read. I can feel the excitement building inside me. This is my life now. It's mine to create, mine to shape. I'm not waiting for anyone to come and change things for me. I'm not waiting for validation. I'm living my life on my own terms, and it feels better than anything I could have ever imagined. This is what independence looks like, not the absence of others, but the presence of self. I've stopped waiting, and I've started living. And for the first time in years, I feel whole again. It's been a few weeks since I signed the lease, and I'm starting to settle into this new life of mine. Every day brings a little more comfort, a little more confidence. I've begun to carve out routines for myself, morning walks, an evening cup of tea, and a weekend visit to the farmer's market where I chat with the vendors. I've never been much of a social butterfly, but here, in this new city, in this new chapter, I find that people are eager to engage with me. I'm starting to feel like I belong, like I'm part of something again, but this time, it's on my terms. Still, there's a gnawing feeling in the back of my mind. I can't escape the fact that, despite the progress I've made, there are some things left unresolved. It's been weeks since I left the airport, since I made the decision to step away from my family's expectations. And while I've embraced my independence, a part of me still wonders if I did the right thing. Did I make the right choice by walking away? Did I abandon them, or did I simply take back what was always mine to begin with? Then, as if on cue, my phone buzzes. It's Ethan. For the past several weeks, there's been nothing. No messages, no calls, no attempts to reach out. At first, I thought maybe they were just giving me space, respecting my decision to be alone. But now, it's clear that this message isn't just a casual check-in. The subject line reads, "Mom, we need to talk." And as I read it, I feel the weight of it settle into my chest. I take a deep breath and open the message. "Mom, we've been trying to reach you. Why haven't you been replying? We're worried about you. Ethan and I think it's time we talked." I feel a mix of emotions, surprise, anger, relief, and guilt all swirling together in my chest. They've been trying to reach me? What does that even mean? Ethan and Chloe haven't made a single attempt to contact me in weeks, and now, all of a sudden, they want to talk. A part of me feels like this is just another way for them to control the narrative, another way for them to guilt me into returning to the life I left behind. I sit with the message for a moment longer, staring at the words. I know what I'm supposed to do. I know that they want me to come back, to fall into the same old patterns, to become the person I was before, the one who waited for them, who put everyone else first. But that's not who I am anymore. I'm not going to let them dictate my life, not now, not ever again. Still, there's a part of me that wants to reach out. I want to pick up the phone and call Ethan. I want to explain myself, to tell him everything, about how I felt when they left me behind at the airport, about how I've come to understand that I am not a burden to be discarded when it's convenient. But I don't. I don't pick up the phone. I just sit there, letting the moment pass, feeling the tension dissolve in my chest. I don't need their approval anymore. I don't need anyone to tell me I'm doing the right thing. I set my phone down and breathe deeply, feeling the calmness wash over me again. For a moment, I almost convinced myself that I could return to the old ways, that I could give in to their expectations and reclaim the life I once knew. But no. I made my decision. I am here, in this moment, in this life that I've chosen. And no matter how much they try to pull me back, I won't let them. But then, a few days later, I get another call. This time, it's Chloe. Her voice is familiar, but there's an edge to it that I can't quite place. Mom, she says, her tone strained, I've been trying to get in touch with you. We're really worried about you. Ethan and I don't know what's going on, but we need to talk. Please pick up your phone. I sit with the phone in my hand, the words hanging in the air. I can't deny that part of me wants to call her back, to apologize, to explain why I've stayed away, but the other part of me, the stronger part, knows better. I can't fall back into the old patterns. I can't be the one who waits, who stays silent in the background of their lives. I have to stand firm in the life I've chosen. For the first time in decades, I'm making choices based on what's best for me. I don't call Chloe back. Instead, I put the phone down and take a walk. The sun is shining, the air crisp, and the world feels wide open in front of me. I walk to the park, where I've been going every morning to clear my mind. I sit on a bench, watching the joggers pass by, the kids playing in the distance, the leaves rustling in the wind. For the first time in a long time, I feel at peace. I'm not rushing anywhere. I'm not waiting for anyone. I'm simply here. I know the calls from Ethan and Chloe won't stop. I know they'll keep trying to pull me back into their world, into a life where I'm needed but never truly valued. But I'm not going back. I've spent so many years playing that role, and it's time for me to step into a new one. A few days later, I receive a letter from Peter, my grandson. It's the first letter I've received in months, and as I read the words, something inside me shifts. Peter tells me he's been thinking about me, that he misses our time together, and that he'd love to visit me soon. There's no demand in his words, no expectation of what I should do or how I should respond. It's simply an invitation, a message from someone who cares, without any strings attached. I sit with the letter for a while, letting the warmth of Peter's words sink in. For the first time in a long time, I don't feel the pressure to explain myself, to justify my actions. Peter sees me for who I am, not for what I can do for him. And that, in itself, is a gift. I carefully craft a response, not for Ethan or Chloe, but for Peter. I tell him that I'm doing well, that I've found a place of peace, and that I would love to see him whenever he's ready. I tell him that I'm living on my own terms now, and I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. It's not about abandoning my family, but about reclaiming my life. I seal the envelope with a soft smile, and for the first time in weeks, I feel a sense of closure. I've taken my first steps toward independence, and though the road ahead is uncertain, I know that I'm no longer waiting for anyone to define who I am. Weeks have passed since I sent that letter to Peter, and since then, I've found a rhythm in my life that feels natural and right. Every day brings small victories, a smile from a neighbor, a friendly conversation with a stranger in the cafe, the simple joy of waking up and knowing that the day is mine to shape. My apartment is beginning to feel more like home with each passing moment, as I arrange the furniture, hang pictures on the walls, and fill the space with my presence. It's no longer just a place to sleep. It's a sanctuary, a haven where I am free to be myself. I've started doing things I've always wanted to do but never allowed myself the time for. I take long walks through the park, where the trees seem to stretch their branches out to greet me, and the sound of birdsong fills the air. I read books that I've had on my shelf for years but never had the chance to open. I take up painting, something I've always wanted to try but never thought I was good enough for. I don't care anymore whether I'm good or not. I care only that I'm doing it for me, because it makes me happy. One evening, after a long day of work at the cafe, I return to my apartment and slip into the familiar comfort of my cozy chair by the window. The city hums below me, the lights flickering in the distance as I sip a cup of tea. I lean back and close my eyes, taking a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past few months settle into place. The weight is not heavy anymore. It's the kind of weight that comes with the knowledge that I am finally living for myself, that I am not beholden to anyone else's expectations. A knock at the door startles me from my thoughts. I set the tea down and stand up, walking slowly toward the door. I don't expect anyone. The last few weeks have been blissfully quiet, and the thought of seeing anyone from my past is both daunting and liberating. I open the door, and standing in front of me is Peter, my grandson. His smile is wide and genuine, and for a moment, I can't help but feel a rush of emotion. "Grandma," he says, his voice bright with excitement. "I hope I'm not interrupting. I've missed you." I smile at him, feeling a warmth spread through me. "Peter, what a surprise. Of course you're not interrupting. Come in." He steps inside, and I can't help but notice how much he's grown. He's taller than I remember, his features maturing in that way that happens when children become young adults. He's no longer the little boy I used to see at family gatherings, but the man he's becoming is someone I'm proud of, someone who still cares enough to reach out to me, even when the rest of the family seems so distant. We sit down on the couch, and Peter starts telling me all about his life, his studies, his new job, the friends he's made since moving out on his own. He speaks with such enthusiasm, and I listen intently, feeling a sense of pride for the young man he's becoming. We talk about everything and nothing, the kind of easy conversation that flows without effort, the kind I've missed so much. It's a reminder that, despite the distance between me and the rest of my family, there are still connections that matter, that have nothing to do with expectations or obligations. We talk late into the evening, and as the hours slip by, I feel a sense of peace settle over me. This is what I've been missing, the simple joy of being with someone who cares about me without ulterior motives, without trying to control or manipulate. It's a comfort I've learned to cherish. As we say goodnight, I feel a quiet sense of contentment. I know that Peter is not just here to visit, but because he genuinely wants to be here, to spend time with me. It's the kind of relationship I've always longed for, one that is built on mutual respect and understanding, not the burdens of expectation or obligation. In the days that follow, I continue to focus on my own journey, taking small steps each day to build the life I've always wanted. I don't need to be the person I once was, the one who lived in the shadows, waiting for others to dictate my worth. I've learned to find joy in the simple things, a warm cup of tea in the morning, the sound of rain against the window, the feeling of my hands covered in paint as I work on my latest project. These small moments are what make life beautiful, what make it worth living. One afternoon, I receive a letter. It's from Ethan and Chloe. My first instinct is to let it sit on the counter, to ignore it as I've done with so many other attempts at contact over the past few weeks. But something in me shifts. I'm no longer afraid of their judgment or criticism. I'm no longer worried about what they'll think of me. I open the letter, and as I read their words, I feel a strange mix of emotions, relief, sadness, and acceptance. Mom, we've been thinking about you a lot lately. We understand why you needed to step away. We just want you to know that we miss you, and we're here for you, no matter what. We don't want to lose you. We hope we can find a way to reconnect. I sit with the letter for a while, the words settling into my heart. It's not an apology, and it's not an invitation to return to the way things were. But it's a step forward, a recognition that they see me, that they understand my need for independence. It's not everything I hoped for, but it's enough. And for the first time in years, I feel like I'm not waiting for their approval anymore. I'm not waiting for them to decide who I am. I know who I am now. I am enough. I fold the letter carefully and place it on the table. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that it's mine to shape. I don't need their validation to live the life I've chosen. I've spent so many years living in the shadow of others' expectations, but now, I'm stepping into the light of my own life. Later that evening, I receive a call from Chloe. She sounds different this time, softer, more understanding. Mom, I just wanted to say thank you for giving us the space we needed. I know it wasn't easy for you, but we've been talking, and we both realize how much we've taken you for granted. We'd love to have you back in our lives, but only on your terms. I listened to her words, and for the first time in a long time, I don't feel the need to defend myself. I don't feel like I have to justify my choices or explain myself. I simply say, I'm doing well, Chloe. I'm happy. And that's all I need right now. As I hang up the phone, I feel a deep sense of peace settle over me. I've come a long way, and the journey is just beginning. I'm not waiting for anyone to give me permission to live anymore. I'm living for myself. And that's enough. That it's been months now since I started living on my own, carving out a life that's all mine. At first, it felt like an experiment, like I was testing the waters, seeing if I could really live independently, without anyone else's help or validation. But now, it's just my life. It's the life I've built for myself, piece by piece, day by day. And it's starting to feel more real, more solid. I don't feel like I'm pretending anymore. I'm living. I've settled into a routine that suits me. My mornings are quiet, just me and the sun creeping through the blinds, gently waking me from my sleep. I make my coffee, savoring the warmth of the cup in my hands, and I sit by the window, watching the world wake up around me. Sometimes, I take a walk in the park across the street, where the trees are starting to change with the seasons. The air is fresh, and there's something peaceful about the sound of leaves rustling in the wind. I've come to love those moments of stillness, those moments where I can just be. At the cafe where I work, things have become even more familiar. I've developed relationships with the regulars, and I can tell who wants their coffee black and who likes it sweet. I've learned the rhythm of the place, the rush of customers in the morning, the quiet lull in the afternoon, the flurry of activity just before closing time. It's a comfortable rhythm, one that I've come to appreciate. I don't mind the long hours. They give me purpose. They give me something to focus on, and they connect me to the world in a way I didn't think was possible. But there's still a part of me that feels a little unsettled. It's not that I'm unhappy, far from it. I'm content, and that's something I never thought I would feel again. It's just that, for all the joy I've found in this new life, there are still lingering questions about my family. The space I've created for myself feels solid, but there's still an ache, a small, quiet ache that comes from the absence of them. I've received a few more messages from Ethan and Chloe over the past few weeks. They've been sporadic, a mix of concern and guilt, with none of the clarity I had hoped for. Their messages are full of questions. Why haven't you called? Are you okay? They ask if I want to visit, but there's no real understanding of what I need, no real sense of respect for the space I've created for myself. I've come to realize that they still don't fully understand. They still see me as someone who exists for them, someone who should be available when they need her, someone who can be pulled back into the old patterns, the ones that have never truly served me. I've thought a lot about whether or not I should respond. I know the temptation to reach out, to explain myself, to make them understand why I needed to walk away. But I've also come to realize that some things don't need an explanation. I don't need to justify my decisions anymore. I've chosen this life, and it's mine. I've spent too many years explaining myself, making excuses, trying to fit into a mold that was never meant for me. Now, I'm learning to be unapologetic. I don't need to explain why I chose independence. It's my right to live the way I want to live, and I don't need anyone's permission. Still, the messages from Ethan and Chloe linger in my mind. There's a part of me that wants to pick up the phone and call them, to tell them how much I've grown, how much I've learned. I want them to understand that I'm not angry, that I'm not bitter. I want them to know that this isn't about punishment or rejection. This is about me finding myself again. But I also know that the conversation we'd have wouldn't be the kind I need. It would be filled with guilt, with questions I'm not ready to answer. It would be another attempt to pull me back into their world, a world I no longer fit into. So I let the messages sit. I don't respond. And as I do, I feel a sense of clarity washing over me. I've done the right thing by stepping away. I'm no longer the person I was when I was in their lives, when I was the one who gave and gave without asking for anything in return. I've found my own voice. I've found my own rhythm. And for the first time in years, I don't feel the weight of other people's expectations. One evening, after I finish my shift at the cafe, I walk home slowly. The streets are quieter now, the hum of the city softened by the falling night. The cool breeze feels refreshing, and I take a deep breath, letting it fill my lungs. As I walk, I notice the small things, the way the streetlights cast long shadows, the sound of a distant car passing by, the rustle of leaves as they move in the wind. I've come to appreciate the little moments, the ones that used to pass me by unnoticed. I feel connected to the world in a way I didn't before, like I'm part of something bigger, even if that something is just the quiet beauty of the evening. I return to my apartment and slip inside, the familiar comfort of my space surrounding me. I kick off my shoes and head to the kitchen, making myself a cup of tea. The kettle hums quietly as the water heats, and I stand there, watching the steam rise. I've found peace in the simplest of moments. This, I realize, is what true happiness feels like. It's not in the big, dramatic moments, not in the things we think we want. It's in the everyday things, the warm cup of tea, the quiet evening, the contentment of knowing that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. As I sit down on the couch with my tea, I hear a knock at the door. I freeze for a moment, unsure of who it could be. I don't have many visitors. I set my tea down and stand up, walking slowly toward the door. When I open it, I'm surprised to see Peter standing there, smiling at me. "Grandma," he says warmly, "I wanted to stop by and see how you're doing." I smile, my heart swelling with affection. "Peter, what a surprise. Come in, come in." He steps inside, and we sit down together. We talk about his life, about my life, and for the first time in a long while, I feel truly connected to someone. Not because of what they need from me, but because of the genuine love and care we share. Peter doesn't expect anything from me. He just wants to be with me. And in that moment, I realized that this is what I've been waiting for, not for my family to come back and fix things, but for relationships that are based on mutual respect and understanding, for connections that are real, not driven by obligation.